We're talking everything you need to know before you watch the Obi-Wan series on Disney+. What's up, everybody? We are the Jersey Comic Crew, Rob and Chris here, and we are hoping you're having a fantastic day. This is a spoiler warning. It's not really any spoilers, but this is our predictions, just in case we're right. We don't want you to get mad at us when you're coming back later. But Chris, you know, a lot of people are very excited about the Obi-Wan show, myself included. I know you are as well. So quick facts about the show in case you don't know what's going on. It's a 6-episode show, and there's no plans for season 2, at least that we know of right now. And it's being directed by Deborah Chow, fantastic director. This takes place 10 years after Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, but it's also 9 to 10 years before Episode 4. So it's that very critical middle piece that we don't, I guess, have a movie for, and we really haven't explored fully yet, right?
Yeah.
We know we're going to talk about Obi-Wan is going to be in this. We know Vader's going to be in this. So, Chris, what's something that you know that the fans at home need to be aware of before going into this movie?
Yeah, I think number one, Rob, is that this is not going to be your cheery, joking Obi-Wan that you've seen in the prequels, right? It's going to be a dark, maybe even depressed Obi-Wan Kenobi who has lost everything. He is now on Tatooine, kind of just watching over Luke and trying to find purpose within himself. And there's really nothing else. He's someone who lost his best friend to not only the dark side, but helped destroy the entire Jedi Order in the blink of an eye, almost. Now this Empire rules the galaxy. He's, I'm sure, watching on, holovids or whatever news channels they have in intergalactic space. What's going on with the intergalactic empire and the Emperor's rise to power and Vader's rise to power? All of this stuff is happening while he's just there, unable to do anything because he's in hiding. So I feel like we're going to get a very hopeless fighting just to kind of stay positive Obi-Wan. And I think that hint of positivity is what we saw in the trailer, where he's like, we need to make sure that Luke gets trained, as he's talking to Owen Lars in that really hardcore scene where he's like, look what happened to Anakin. But I think that's going to be the crux of this, where we're going to see why Luke is really the last hope of the Jedi throughout this series and how dark it really is during this time.
I feel like the first 6 movies, and maybe just Star Wars in general, they don't really take enough time, or maybe a better way to say is they don't have enough time to really flesh out the emotional trauma that some of these characters go through. We see Vader and his whole story arc live on screen. He's the main focal point, and like, wow, this is amazing. And then you stop and read one of the comic books like Vader Down or any of the other fantastic ones, and you're like, wow, he's going through a lot. It's really tormented. He's a really tormented soul. So I think this Obi-Wan series is going to be very good to, one, flesh out Obi-Wan's tragedy, which we kind of like all understand, moving from the prequels to the new ones, or well, I guess the prequels to the standard trilogy. But I think now we're going to understand it on a deeper level, at least the average everyday fans. I'm excited to see Vader and to see how he's haunted and how well they do this. I definitely see them taking pages right out of the comic book, if you will, to do this. Here's the but, Chris. I am very worried and concerned that this show isn't going to be what I think it is. I'm in the pessimistic side of things. I think the show is not going to focus a lot on Vader. I think it's going to focus on these new, like, high justices or whatever, these Sith Lords that are coming in. The
Inquisitors?
Yeah, the Inquisitors. that I gotta give 2 shits about. And I'm like, all right, I want to see this story with Vader and all this kind of stuff. And I'm afraid that, like, Star Wars, like, all right, if we bring Vader in this and he's a main character in this, you're just going to want a Vader show, which, yes, of course I do. But I'm just afraid that this Obi-Wan is not going to live up to the hype.
I think so. There's 2 things there. I want to talk the Vader thing, and then I'll get to that part too.
Sure.
But as far as Vader, yes, I think we're going to see a Vader that's a mix of expanded universe, whether it's the canon or not canon anymore, as well as some of the early comics that were fantastic when Marvel regot the Star Wars series back into Marvel. I really want to see the dark, painful side of Vader. And we kind of got a hint at that in Rogue One. Remember, he's in the back of the tank and they put him together to go have that meeting. But I want to see all of what his day-to-day is like, right? He is a broken, painful, mostly machine man. There's a shot in the trailer where his chest piece goes into him. There's barbs on that thing that are like 4 to 5 inches. Those are going into his body.
Yeah, it's going to hurt.
Like, every part of his day is pure agony. And this is, wrapped up in a different conversation of why I think Vader's the greatest fictional villain of all time. But this character is not only using his anger and power through the loss of Padme, his choices, the control the Emperor clearly has on him, but also his day-to-day pure agony of every move, of every breath he takes. There's stuff in the expanded universe that isn't technically canon anymore, Rob, where they go deep dives into Vader's breathing apparatuses and how his lungs were filled with smoke on Mustafar, and every part of his day is just agony, and the Bacta can only do so much for his kind of like skin and outer layer, but the inside
all of that's what I want. That's what I want in this. I want this show to be a two-sided coin of looking at these brothers who fought each other and now are on different paths. I wanted to focus on Obi-Wan and a lot on Vader, but I don't think we're going to get that.
I do. I think we're going to get the yin and yang essence is going to be interesting in this show, because you have two guys. One won the fight, one lost the fight. Mm-hmm. They're both in pure agony, but for different reasons. Yeah. Right? Obi-Wan's in agony because of the Jedi Order. He feels like it's his fault. He lost everything. He wasn't, he should have never trained Anakin from the beginning. Who knows? And then you have Vader, who's, man, I could still look like Anakin Skywalker. I could still at least look like him and have my body, and maybe Padme be alive on my choices, and I'm in pure agony and pain every time the suit gets plugged into me from every orifice. Those are two similar roads, just with different issues. But I think you're worried about like the Inquisitors and stuff like that. I think this show is going to be about buildup. I think it's going to be the ultimate buildup / payoff show, where we know we're getting an Obi-Wan and Vader fight of some kind.
Sure.
Like, that's been confirmed. We've seen the artwork for it. We've seen all that. I think it's the Inquisitors are going to be looking for him. We're going to see Vader in bits and pieces throughout the show, right? Every episode, maybe a little more of him. Maybe he's in the Bacta. We get some flashbacks in his head. Or he's getting put together. He's getting new parts and upgraded parts. Then it goes to Obi-Wan and what he's doing, and the Inquisitor's looking for him. That's going to have to pay off in that 5th or 6th episode, where the Inquisitor's like, look, we've been chasing this guy around. He's too strong or whatever. We need you to come in and handle this, because he is somehow, without using a lightsaber, taking us all down.
So you're, I guess it's safe to say that you think this show is going to live up to the hype that
I don't know if anything could live up to the hype, Rob. And that's why I've been saying this show is probably one of the most important Star Wars shows or Star Wars properties in years, because the hype is so high for our generation alone, who grew up on the prequels, for them to kind of be like, okay, like, let's get this so right that people stop making fun of the prequels and stop hating it. The other side is, how do you live up to hype that has all the possibilities of characters from the animated series or video games or all these possibilities in 6 episodes, right? And we know how Disney Plus does it. It's not going to be 59 minutes, 65 minutes. It's probably going to be more around 48 to 52 minutes per episode.
Yeah, depending on the story. Maybe it's 34 one time. Maybe it's 48. Maybe it's 53. Yeah, it's whatever the story dictates, which I think that's good that they do this, because it allows the episode to be focused and makes for better storytelling. I don't really care that they're not all 58.5 minutes exactly due to commercials. But due to the not due to this, but this show, I'm excited for it, but not because of anything that the show has told us or shown us, right? I'm, like you said, I'm excited because I loved Star Wars when I was younger. Like, I get to see these characters come back. Cool. All the extended universe and all this other stuff that I've just soaked up over the years by talking to you about Star Wars. But if I was just back to Rob as the everyday fan who, like, Star Wars was like, it's cool, but it's not the greatest. That's how I was. Looking at trailers, it's fine. Looking at the trailers for this and the stuff that I know, I don't think the show has done anything to pull me in. Aside from like, oh, we know Obi-Wan's gonna be training Luke. I'm like, okay, cool, show. But like, I know all the other stuff that's gonna be coming, so that's why I'm excited. And I guess maybe that's why I have this reservations, because I feel like the marketing for this, which is, they've done a pretty good job, but like, I feel like they're really relying on this Obi-Wan name to bring people in, instead of like, oh, we have this amazing story here. Because all we know is that like, oh, Vader's gonna come back, they're gonna have a fight. We have no idea what extent. We know that we saw a picture, cool. But yeah, average everyday fan doesn't really know that, or they might, but it still might not be enough to pull them in.
I think people are going to be pulled in regardless. I'm fine with the trailers not showing me anything. I don't want to see anything. That was part of my issue with Multiverse of Madness. Like, a lot of that stuff was shown ahead of time, and it was too much. Like, you had 40 TV spots and 40 teaser trailers.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of the Illuminati stuff got blown up already. Like, it was too much. This is a show where I would be under wraps fully. And apparently the leaks have already happened where, like, people know how the series ends already, which is insane.
Oh, wow,
but,
okay.
like, I'm keeping away from all of that, obviously. But it's a show that I'm glad it's held back. To me, the shows that have better potential don't give you as much in the beginning. They don't give you as much as in the trailers.
Okay.
They don't flesh out the trailers to let you see a bunch of stuff. Let me just watch it and be amazed, right? Remember that Mandalorian trailer? It was just like a guy walks into a bar. That was it.
Yeah, but it was still, he walks in a bar, but it was an amazing fight scene, and it's like, oh my God, this is about.
But not everything has to be a fight scene, is what I'm saying, right? Like, you could show
No.
a trailer and just be like, oh my God, these points. If you're an Uber fan like me, you're going to see all those points and go, I know what that talks about. I know what that is connected to. I know where that's from.
But so, like, with this show, like,
go ahead.
yeah, like you said, like, it doesn't have to be a fight scene. That's fine. Like, maybe it's a great story plot or something that's going on. But, like, I feel like this show, I understand why it has to be surrounded in secrecy, because I think something big's going to happen. And that's going to lead to maybe a movie, a spinoff show, a second season, what have you. I understand that, and I guess I have to just wait. But even as the plot side of things, they haven't really said anything that's really like, oh my God, like I want to watch this. I want to see what happens. I'm like, okay, you're gonna train Luke. We know people are after Obi-Wan. The end. Like, and
I don't think he's training Luke. I just think he's watching over Luke.
Well, yeah, wrong choice of words. He's watching over Luke, and people are after him. The end. I'm like, okay, like, if they would have focused maybe a scene or like had a trailer, like, all right, like I. Maybe focus on, like, I'm feeling lost. Like, I have all this kind of stuff. Like, oh my God, like, this is the narrative that they're gonna go with. They don't really have to show everything. You'll be like, oh, like, I lost my brother. I do this. Now I have to take care of this kid. Even if it's like a monologue for like 10 seconds. You're like, okay, that's enough to sell me on the show's premise. But I think there's the sell is the secrets. They're selling you that, like, secrets going to be revealed here, and I'm like, I don't know if that's enough anymore.
I think it is in this case.
It could, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna watch it.
I'm fine with not knowing almost anything in the show and going into it and kind of understanding where he is, right? I don't think you need the monologue right now. Give me the monologue in the show. Give me fantastic lines in the show. Give me the moment where we come back to the show and do a review and be like, oh my God, this dialogue opened up so many possibilities or explained so much stuff. I think there's a lot in this that is just you're looking at it and it's telling you by just the actions, right? He's like working in town on Tatooine. Obviously, the Inquisitor's in town. The guy who's like hanging. They hung a guy for information or something. All that is telling me how dark this is. It's telling me the tone. It's telling me where this is going.
They're showing and not telling.
Exactly. Like, show me, don't tell me in a trailer. Let me experience that in a show. So many of the best shows do that in ways that there doesn't have to be like, show me, go ahead, show me a few little, blasters here shooting, Obi-Wan doing some hand-to-hand combat. That's cool. But for this show, it's not about the fight until it's the Vader fight, right? Everything in this show, to me personally, is about Obi-Wan, where he is, and how he gets there. How is his life like this? And for some, that may sound boring, but to me, that's everything I've wanted since the prequels ended. Is what happened to this guy? What happened to the Jedi? Did he learn how to talk to Qui-Gon as a Force ghost? Is that how he learns it later as an old man, right? Are there, like, how were the Jedi hunted down throughout this whole time? How did Obi-Wan hide this whole time?
I'm sure we're going to have to get all those answers, right?
Yeah, so, like, there's all of that stuff, which I personally think is fascinating. And obviously, everything we don't know, which is obviously the genius that is Deborah Chow and everyone else working on the show, how they're going to make and fixate it. I'm not worried about the show. I'd say I'm more worried about the fan hype than about the actual show. I
get that. I think no matter what, like, even I'm in the reserve seat, I know I'm going to enjoy the show. I know I'm going to love it. Like anything with, like, the shows that we love, the fanatics get crazy, and it kind of puts a sour taste in everybody's mouth. But guys, we want to hear your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. Before you watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, what do you think is going to happen? What is going to be the main point? You got to tell us.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up, like, really helps the channel out a lot. If you are new, turn on notifications. Don't wait. Do it now. It takes 2 seconds. Turn notifications. Don't miss any more of our coverage of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know we're going to hit every episode. And if you miss anything, it's right here on the channel for you. And as always, I'm Chris Heller. That's Rob Moran. We are the Jersey Com Crew, and we will see you next time.